Okay, here we go. Here we go, and we're on. So, good evening, Elizabeth. Good evening, head through this. Okay, so we've got lots of people in already. Hi there, Camp Beauty. Perfect timing as always. I love your timing, as I always say. Okay, so Victor Gabriel asked if there are going to be any surprises. I don't think there are going to be any big surprises. I think you know very clearly how this is going to be done and what we're going to do. Yeah. Okay, good evening, Lavinia and Vitalie. Okay, that's the first one. What about the other one, Vitalie? Yes, well done, Javi, and David Lutz as well. Good evening. So, Navjoti, that's an interesting name. So, like David and Javi and Vitalie and the one said, good evening, cheese string. As mad as a... So we do say, not as mad as a duck, we do say as mad as a hatter. Let me write this in capital letters. And this is from the Hatter in Alice in Wonderland at the tea party. Okay, you could have bats in your belfry, but also as mad as... Definitely, Hatter is the answer. There's another answer. As mad as a box of frogs. As mad as a horse. I love it, Lavinia. Good evening, Corazon. Okay, so you don't know the other one. As mad as a March hare. Yeah? In spring, the hares, a hare is like a big rabbit with big ears. They go a bit crazy. And they also, you can also use that as mad as a March hare, as mad as a hatter. Shalom, Renyard, very nice to see you. So, as mad as a hatter, he's as mad as a hatter. Yeah, the Mad Hatter from Alice in Wonderland. Or as mad as a March hare. I think mad as a hatter is much more common. So good evening, Hidayet. But you can also say as mad as a March hare. Yeah, he's as mad as a March hare. He's absolutely crazy. Exactly, Hyderjet. As mad as a hatter. So, it's like a rabbit, but it's got big long ears, Lavinia. Yeah, it's very similar, but it's not exactly a rabbit. Good evening, Montespan. Huh. Okay, that's very good, Habby. That was very clear, quick. And Lady Angel, good evening. Okay, salam alaikum, Ali Boyev. And Nitu, good evening. Yes, you've got that straight in with that one. And never gathers moss. Look at Vitaly, look at the structure that the other ones have used, like David exactly below you. So, yes, and Maesh, good evening, I'm Rock fan. So, a rolling stone gathers, collects no moss. A rolling stone gathers no moss. So, yes, if a person who does not settle in one place will not accumulate wealth, status, responsibilities or commitments. If you're always moving, it doesn't give you time. So, Lavinia gathers. Good evening, Mike. Nice to see you. Hare is a wild cousin of a rabbit. That's good, Elizabeth. I love it. Okay, so a rolling stone gathers no moss. And good evening, Horizon, nice to see you. And Conte, good evening as well. So, a rolling stone gathers no moss. If you're always moving. So, Lavinia, moss is this green plant that grows on stones. It's very spongy. Yeah? It's it's green. Yeah? It's a green thing. Ha. And Vitalia is doing this and Hadi's into it as well. So she would not stop talking. I couldn't get a word in. Ha, interesting. Moss. Moss is this green plant that grows on stones. It's not very big. Yeah? a sort of grass, okay, that grows on old buildings. Notice it's a slightly different from a grass, but yes, sort of. Okay, so interesting here. So yeah, moss is a type of plant. So some people say edgeways, and hubby says edgewise. I couldn't get a word in edgewise. I couldn't get a word in edgeways. I think I prefer edgeways, but I don't think edgewise is wrong. Edgeways. I couldn't get a word in edgeways. So Manjiram and Montespan. Yes. Good evening, Hamed. Edgeways. That's it. Head through this. A kind of vegetable that grows on stone. Yeah, absolutely, Lavinia. Edgeways, edgewise, edgewise. I prefer edgeways, but edgewise works as well. Okay, so if you can't get a word in edgeways, it means it's impossible for you to actually say anything because somebody's talking and talking. So let's see, edgeways, from the edge, like that, Lavinia. Edgeways. So let's see. Here, a box or something to. So this is it, but edgeways, like that, not full on, but edgeways from the side. Edgeways. Okay, from the side. Okay, so I couldn't get a word in edgeways from the side like this. Yeah? They talk for England. Yes. So many people could talk for England, I'm sure of that. Okay, so if you can't get a word in edgeways, it's just not possible. Yeah? Okay, so let's see. You can't get a word in edgeways. You can't say anything because it's just someone is always talking. Okay, so we're going to get the next one any second now. Yes. Difficult circumstances will bring together very different people. Makes strange. And this first word is talking about the difficult circumstances, and the second one is talking about very different people. Ooh, so I've got you all stuck here. This one's quite a strange one. Yeah? So, can you think of a word for difficult circumstances? So I'm going to give you the first letter. A. D. The need makes strange unite. That's the idea. ADV. E. So, bedfellows is the second word, David. That's really good. Make strange bedfellows. So bedfellows are people in the same in the same bed or in the same situation. And here, well done. And Mash has got it as well. Adversity. Yeah, adversity makes strange bedfellows. Adversity. So adversity means difficult circumstances, and bedfellows bring together. Yeah, so adversity makes strange bedfellows. Okay, when bad things happen, you end up working together with people that you might not normally work with. Yeah. They're not the sort of people that maybe you like, or that they are like fellows, are like friends. Yes. Okay. So Evistar as well. Yes. So adversity makes strange bedfellows. Different people work together. Yeah. When the situation is bad. Yeah. Bedfellows is brilliant. Yeah. Adversity. Well done, Hamed. Yeah. So adversity makes strange bedfellows. Next one's easy. There is no way you can persuade me to do that. I wouldn't do it for all the in Okay, for all the money in the world. I hadn't thought of that, Count Beauty, but it works. And then Harry's, all the tea in China was the one I was thinking of. Union makes strength. Vitaly, for all the tea in China. For all the gold in the world. Good evening, Kira. I think I might use that one as well. But all the tea in China. For all the tea in China. David, here for all the money in the world. Yeah. So I'm going to have to write various in here. For all the tea, money, gold in China and in the world. I wouldn't do it for all the tea in China. I wouldn't do it for all the gold in the world, all the money in the world. Yeah, all of those work very well. Okay, Mike, that works as well. I wouldn't do it for all the money in the world. Eviatad, very good. Anine Rock Fan, good. Okay, and head through this for all the stars in heaven. I love that phrase, David, but I wouldn't do it for the earth. But no, I wouldn't do it for all the tea in China. I wouldn't do it for all the money in the world, all the gold in the world. That definitely works, Hamid. Okay, yeah. So, for all the tea, absolutely, Abud. Yeah, for all the tea in China. This is maybe a bit old-fashioned, this phrase, but they still use it. I wouldn't do it for all the tea in China. And the next one I really like. I don't want to have anything to do with it. I don't trust it. I wouldn't touch it with a... And there we go. All the money in the world. So, Vitalia, you're in there quick this time. Yes, there's a lot of tea in China. Particularly... I wouldn't... So, no, Harry. With a 10-foot pole. I hadn't thought of that, David Lutz, but if you look at what Vitalis said, that is actually a 10-foot pole. Yeah? Okay. Yeah. So, with a grain of salt, I wouldn't touch it. No, you have to take it with a grain of salt. Okay, so I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. But some smart person there, David Lutz, said a 10-foot pole. Oh, thank you, Kira. That's so kind of you. That really is. Thank you very much. Okay, so a barge is a boat that goes down a canal. And the water in the canal is not deep. And you have a long pole, about 10 feet, 3 meters, which you push with. Yeah? So it's saying I wouldn't touch it with a very large stick, with a very long stick. Thank you again, Kira. I'm touched. So I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Yeah? Don't do it. It's not a good idea. I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. This is a very British expression, and I love it. It's one of my favourites. So don't do it. Don't touch this investment with a barge pole. Do you think I should buy that old car? No, I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole. A barge is a boat. It's a boat that you push it along the canal with a very long stick, a very long pole. A barge is to transport things. In the old days, they used to have barges that horses that pulled them. Thank you so much, Sherwin. That's really nice of you. It's really generous of you. So, good evening, left or right. A barge is a boat. Yeah? A gin pole. Okay. So, let's just try the next one then. Wow. It's impossible to turn something ordinary or inferior into something refined and beautiful. You can't make a what out of a what? So to make a mountain out of a molehill, no, Mahesh. To make a mountain out of a molehill is to make a lot of fuss about something that's not very important. Yes, Lavinia, a barge is a boat, and a pole is a long stick to push it along. Yeah? So, wow. Okay, David, that's really, really, really good. And good evening, Horizon. And wonderful to see you. Maharashtra. Okay, so you can't make. I'm going to have to put David's answer up here because it's just the right thing. You can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. Okay, so a silk purse, you know, but a sow's ear, a sow is a female pig. So you can't make a silk purse, you can't make something beautiful, a silk purse, out of the ear of a pig. It doesn't work. You can't make gold out of hay. That's the idea, MG. Good evening. Yes, you'll be able to rewatch it. It takes normally a while for the chat to come up again. So, Asma, good evening. Good evening to Pakistan for you. But this phrase, you can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. Purse is a bag. Yes, for me, notice, Lavinia, a purse is the little bag that you put money in. But in American, a purse is a lady's handbag. It's the whole, the whole bag. Okay, so Hyder you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs. This means you need to risk something or use something to have a positive outcome. It's slightly different. Yeah. You can't make an omelette without breaking eggs. You can't go to the cinema if you haven't got enough money for a ticket, for example. And that's the idea of it. Okay, so let's try one more of these. But this phrase, you can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. It's impossible to make something fantastic out of something that's just not good. Yeah. The word changes exactly. A British purse is for money. An American purse is the whole lady's bag. Okay, so we've got another one coming. This is to do with when two competitors are really close, or maybe more competitors. So in a very close competition. In American, Hamid, yes. Spell the female pig aloud. Sow. S-O-W. Okay, I understand your question there, Mike. Okay. To sow, S-E-W. To sow seeds, S-O-W. But a sow, a female pig, it's like this row and row. Yeah? Row and row. Different pronunciations. Okay, and you're already into this next one. A very close competition with none of the competitors clearly in the lead. The competitors are, so as Head through this said, neck and neck or tied. That works very well, Danielle Guevara. Okay. A handbag, Victor Gabriel. And the American word purse, in British I say a handbag. And that's very good, Nitu. They're neck and neck. And Ein Rock fan, neck and neck. Yeah, you reap what you sow. That's coming in a little bit, I think. I took my sow to sow with me. Yes. Okay, so also sew as in with a needle and thread. Yeah? Yeah. It's okay, Lavinia. These are very difficult today. Yeah, they're not easy. But, well, it's the way it is. Handbag. Okay. So, Sow, S-O-W, Mike. Okay? Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Don't worry there. So, Mike, S-O-W is a sow. S-O-W is to sow seeds. S-O-W, a sow, a female pig. And with a needle and thread, S-E-W, sow. Okay? Yeah, these are all C2 plus. I like C2 plus class. It's the best way of learning lots of really good things. Okay, so the competitors are neck and neck. Yeah, the two competitors are neck and neck. Yeah. So Hamid, it depends sometimes on the time it takes the signal to get there, and once again, YouTube is not working very well again. Oh wow! Thank you, David Lutz. That's incredible. That's really, really kind of you. We seem to have a really, really kind crowd this evening. So I should repeat, thank you to Kira, thank you to Sherwin, and a very big thank you to you, David. It's really kind of you. So Tooth and Nail is fighting with every possible available thing. Okay, it's time for the story. And normally, up to now, I've been doing stories by Aesop, but this one is different. This is actually a Sufi story. And the story is called The Tips. So, it's about a guy called Nasruddin. Nasruddin's funny. So, why did the bath attendant give... Wow, Lavinia, thank you very much. Why did the bath attendant give Nasruddin bad service the first time he went to the bathhouse? What was Nasruddin's explanation for the difference in tips? And what moral would you give the story? A curate's egg is where the curate always tries to find something positive even about the worst of things. So listen, wow, I'm touched this evening. So Nasruddin went into a bathhouse dressed in worn-out clothing. The bath attendant, imagining him to be poor, didn't pay him much attention and just threw him a towel. When Nasruddin was finished bathing, however, he gave the attendant a big tip. The next week, Nasruddin came to the bathhouse again. This time the attendant gave him the royal treatment, hoping for another large tip. This time, however, Nasruddin threw him a small coin and gave him a nasty look to boot. The attendant stood there with a disappointed look on his face. Nasruddin turned to him and said, "This tip is for the services you gave me last week. The tip I gave you last week was today's services." Yes, that's it, Abdukat. So, Lavinia, the attendant is the person working in the bathhouse. This is like the waiter or the person giving the service. So, why did the bath attendant give Nasruddin bad service the first time he went to the bathhouse? What was Nasruddin's explanation for the difference in tips? And what moral would you give the story? Wow, thank you, left or right. I've got to thank all of you who are donating. It's really, really kind of you. So, we need to find the answers to the questions. I'm going to read again. Nasruddin went into a bathhouse dressed in worn-out clothing. The bath attendant, imagining him to be poor, didn't pay him much attention and just threw him a towel. When Nasruddin was finished bathing, however, he gave the attendant a big tip. The next week, Nasruddin came to the bathhouse again. This time, the attendant gave him the royal treatment, hoping for another large tip. This time, however, Nasruddin threw him a small coin and gave him a nasty look to boot. Here, to boot, you'll have to explain that phrase for me as well. The attendant stood there with a disappointed look on his face. Nasruddin turned to him and said, "This tip is for the services you gave me last week. The tip I gave you last week was for today's services." So we're going to start with Elizabeth Bennet. The bad service was given because Nasruddin was wearing worn-out clothes, so he was taken as a tramp. Good English. Daniel Guevara, he gave him bad service uncountable, no A, due to the way he looked, confusing him with some poor guy. Great. And Montespan says, don't judge a book by its cover. That's a good moral. Rockfan, the attendant gave him bad service because he thought he was poor because of his clothes. Abud Kat, you reap what you sow. I think that's quite a good one. Thank you, left or right. Every donation helps, and it's really kind of you to give me one, left or right. Thank you. I would like to thank all of you. And Nitu, good. To boot means in addition and goes at the end of a phrase. Mike, the explanation. The first tip was for both the first and second bathing. Moral, fix the price. Sort of, Mike, but ever so slightly different. Manjira, the bath attendant gave Nasruddin bad service, imagining him to be a poor man by all means. Good. Victor Gabriel, first, he thought he was too poor to use the bathhouse. Second, for the treatment he gave him last week, never judge a book by its cover. Good, Victor. MG, he thought he was poor. Good. Count Beauty, the bath attendant thought that Nasruddin is poor. The tips were for different days of services. The moral is don't judge a book by its cover. Good. One good turn deserves another. I like that, Kira. That's a good one. Nitu. The bath attendant judged the book by its cover, by his filthy appearance. That's good English, Nitu. Asma, he thought he is not going to get a tip. The moral, Renyard, don't jump to conclusions. Good. David Lutz, clothes makes the man. Clothes make singular. Or very often they even say maketh in Old English. But clothes make the man. 2, money rules the world. And 3, shit happens. Again, yeah. Okay. Hamada, threshold. The threshold is the minimum level something will happen. The entrance to a house. Elizabeth Vennet, the second visit tip was low because it meant to be as for the first visit. Okay, so the tip for the second visit was low because it was meant to be for the first visit. That's good, Elizabeth, though. Hamed, sir, this is an old story in Iran's literature. Nasruddin means the victory of religion. It's Arabic. Nasruddin's stories are great. I love them. David Lutz, clothes make the man. Good. Money rules the world. Shit happens. That's great. Well done, David. And Lavinia, Nasruddin gave a bad second tip because the first service was bad and the attendant judged Nasruddin from his clothes. The moral is don't judge a book from its cover. Well done, Lavinia. That's great English. Hubby, don't be biased and be kind and fair to everyone, at least at first glance. That's great English, Hadi. I love it. Rockfan, he said that the high tip was for today's service and the low tip was for the service of last week. Good, rock fan. Victor Gabriel. Never judge someone or something by their appearance, or you might be sorry later. I think that's a good moral, Victor. And subvert. To subvert. To persuade people to do things that are bad. Abud. If he bathed in Turkish one, he would have tipped well and happy. Good. So, Manjira, the moral, appearance can be deceptive. Good. Good evening, Nora. It's okay. Unfortunately, you're a bit late today, but it doesn't matter. It's good to see you. Nasruddin tipped the attendant according to the treatment he had been given on both days. Good English, Danielle Guevara. Nitu, moral, be ready for tit for tat. I like that tit for tat. It's very good. So, Montespan, Nasruddin turned the tables on the guy in the bathhouse. That's very good. And good evening, Boyka. Because he thought, not taught, Boyka, that Nasruddin was poor. Lavinia. In Italy we say the clothes don't make the priest. In English that we say clothes don't make the man. And Rockfan. Never treat someone differently just because of their appearance. Good English. And good evening, MF. Okay, we need to read this or this is going to get very late. So, let's see. I need to put this in the window. Oh, it's not going to let me do this. Copy and paste. Okay, so we've got a good copy here. And this will appear in a second for us. So let's see. Sherwin, moral of the story. Shower at home, save money. That's very good, Sherwin. David Lutz, I will try Nasruddin's strategy tomorrow. Seems to work wonders. I also recommend you read more Nasruddin stories. They can be very funny. And Boyka, explanation of Nasruddin. The second tip was for the first service and vice versa. That was very, very good, Boyka, because you made it very short. Nasruddin is a name, Lavinia, just like Lavinia is a name. Nasruddin's a name. And Mudassar, it's not what's on the outside, it's what's on the inside. Exactly, I'm Rock fan. It's his name. An agnostic. An agnostic doesn't know whether. An agnostic says it's impossible to prove whether God exists or not. So let's read this. Okay, Nasruddin went into a bathhouse dressed in worn-out clothing. Worn out, dirty, torn, broken, bad quality, completely used. The bath attendant, the person working there, imagining him to be poor, didn't pay him much attention and just threw him a towel. Just threw a towel at him. When Nasruddin was finished bathing, however, he gave the attendant a big tip. Okay, so even though the service wasn't very good, he gave him a big tip. The next week, Nasruddin came to the bathhouse again. Okay, so he came back again. I've got to wait for this to catch up. Good, it has. This time, the attendant gave him the royal treatment, hoping for another large tip. So I guess the royal treatment is a massage and oils and all sorts of good things, and the best place, because he wanted another large tip. This time, however, Nasruddin threw him a small coin. So he just gave him a small coin. A great tip, yes, you could, very definitely. Debonair relaxed. So this time, however, Nasruddin threw him a small coin and gave him a nasty look to boot. So this phrase to boot also in addition. The attendant stood there with a disappointed look on his face because he was expecting a big tip. Nasruddin turned to him and said, "This tip is for the services you gave me last week. The tip I gave you last week was today's services." So, where was that question by Daniel Guevara? So, debonair, it means relaxed, like you own the place, confident, you are the best, you're relaxed about things. The royal treatment, full English breakfast, that sounds like it. Boots are shoes, yes, but Lavinia, this to boot. So, he's very handsome and rich to boot, in addition. To boot, in addition. One thing and another thing to boot. So, I'm a very good teacher and I speak English with a good accent to boot, in addition. So, Danielle Fabry says, don't set your expectations too high. That's great. To capitulate, to give in, to surrender. Okay, so let's continue then. So we just a couple of easy questions. So first question, what colour is the yolk of an egg? What colour is the yolk of an egg? What colour is the yolk of an egg? Exactly, Lavinia. To boot is in addition. Yeah, in addition. So he did this to boot as well, in addition. Also. So, what colour is the yolk of an egg? What colour is the... Yes, there we go, Beauty. And Nitu. And Lavinia. You see, you got one, Lavinia. And Victor Gabriel. To boot normally comes at the end of the sentence, correct. A and B to boot, Nora. So Montespan, yellow. Mangira, yellow. Gertrudis, yellow. Danielle, or yellow or a mixture with orange sometimes. It depends what the chickens eat. Irastenwit, yellow, good. Kira, yellow-orange. Elizabeth, yellow. David Lutz, yellow. Ein Rockfam, yellow. Chabi, yellow. Nora, yellow. Renyard, yellow. Danielle, yellow. Mike, yellow. Lady Angel, yolk is yellow. Good. And I'm glad you spelled that, Lady Angel. Yolk, Y-O-L-K, Mike. Orange is an organic natural egg. Exactly, Nitu. Lavinia, yellow. Asma, yellow. So, let's put this here. And let's try another one. What might you find in a well? What might you find in a well? No, it's not Boyka. I sit on the chair. Because notice, I sit on the chair. Yeah? It's separate. Yeah? So, next question. What might you find in a well? To hold forth, to explain at length, to give lots of words. So, Count Beauty again. Water. Victor Gabriel, water. What might you find in a well? Water. And Mudasa. Nasruddin used his intellect instantly at that moment and a mad trick to the bath attendant in the hope of receiving better treatment in future. So this is that's pretty good, Mudasa. And in answer to this question, what might you find at the bottom of a well? Elizabeth, water. Lady Angel, water. Iraten, water. Kira, water. Gertrudis, water. Danielle, water. Montespan, water. Mangira, water. The other part, rock fan, is called the white. The yolk and the white. It's not very original. Oh, I like that, Habby. You might find a good wish. Nora, water. David Lutz, the frog prince. That's a goodie. Danielle Guevara, water, gold, stones. Absolutely. A bucket, Mike. Absolutely. A bucket, Elizabeth. Kira, you also might find a bucket there. Kira, or a pump. In a well. In a well, Lavinia. A well is this hole in the ground where you get water. And finally, yeah, Boyka's given the answer of oil. Yeah? Coins, bring a magnet. That's a good idea. As I said, the writer's name is Nasa Coado, and the story is based on two friends travelling to Basra. And the other story happens, as you know. I think it's from 1000 AD. I'm sure that's right. Thank you for sharing that, Hamid. Okay, Boyka, water, and Boyka, oil. I love that oil. It's really good. In a well, W-E-L-L. A child who fell down, exactly, Lafortite. A pail or a bucket. Danielle, another person who's fallen in there by mistake. A well is a hole in the ground where you get water. It's a big long hole, and you throw a bucket and you pull it up, Lavinia. Un pozo. And Montespan says the frog princess. Bruce Wayne, maybe. Yes. Okay, that's Batman, isn't it? And Lady Angel, a well. Yes, exactly. Well is an adverb. Yes, but it's also a noun, meaning this hole in the ground. Okay, yes, good. Abu the pail. And Ein Rockfan, a bucket with a rope. Lady Angel. A well can dry out or dry up. Both of them. It can dry. It's better to, I think, that a well dries up. But once it, so to dry up, the water disappears, and dry out is much better for your washing or something that it has water inside it. And Mudasa says gold in the well. They built the well very well. Thank you, Victor. Pebbles too, Nitu. A pail and a bucket, they're the same thing, Victor Gabriel. Bucket is more common word. Darkness at the bottom of the well. I love it, Mohammed. Un pozo. Yes, that's it, Lavinia. And Aboud, gas and oil or hydrocarbons. Absolutely, an oil well. Or a person who's out stargazing. That's the story of the astronomer who doesn't look at... He only looks at the sky. He doesn't know what's happening on Earth. Yes, Pozo, exactly, Danielle Guevara. Okay, my friends, time to stop. This has been a brilliant class. You've been a brilliant group. My gosh, you've been so generous. I can't believe it. So thanks to Leforite for his donation. Thanks to Lavinia for her donation. Many thanks to David Lutz for a really generous donation. And thank you to Sherwin for his donation. And thank you to Kira. Wow, that's really kind of all of you. But you've been a great group. You've been fantastic. I will see you all next week. Same time, same channel. You're a great crowd. Take care, and I'll see you all next week. Bye-bye. And brilliant group.